All right. We are back to the Demir and Thabit show, also known as Ambient Cats. Like I said earlier, this is a very special night because it is the last Ambient Cat show for the semester, and also of 2013, if you like to think about it in terms of years. But we are also having a special guest, Thabit Pulak, in the studio right now. And we're going to start the interview. And Thabit, how are you?
I'm doing well, Dhamir. How are you doing?
Good, good. I'm sorry I can't face you because I would, but the microphone is literally positioned away from you.
No, that's totally fine, Demir. I can get a glimpse of your face from around here.
Okay, that's good. All right, so let's see. Who are you, Thabit? Because normally a normal person is just a person, but you, I think, have accomplished something that a lot of people haven't been able to accomplish, or they may not ever be able to accomplish. That's special. So, what do you think you are as a person?
Oh, well, Demir, first of all, thank you for having me here. And really, what I think I've done is it's really not as big as you say it is, but very thankful that you're very supportive of this. Basically, I'm ethnically from the country of Bangladesh. It's a poor country off South Asia, and ever since I was a kid, I'd visit the country with my parents to see my grandparents there. And I'd see on the streets, the people there, the poor people on the streets, the beggars. I would always feel kind of pity in my heart for them. And when I was a kid, I used to give whatever change I had in my pockets to these people. As I got older, I started seeing the more reality of the situation. I saw one major thing was that these people didn't have clean drinking water to drink. And as I found out later, this water was not only dirty to drink, it had this poisonous chemical called arsenic in it. And I saw that there were existing filters out there. They got rid of arsenic from the water. But they costed like $60 to $70, where people would make less than $1 a day. So you're making about $30 a month, but these water filters that you need to survive cost $70. So that's a big problem. So I kind of set out to find a way to make this filter cheaper. How can I make this cheaper? So I saw that the first foremost thing was that these filters were patented. They had licensed parts. The owners of these filters would make money off of every filter that was sold. And they would make money off of people that are making less than $1 a day. Why would you do that? I believe for a product to be truly humanitarian, you must have a humanitarian mindset.
Mm.
So make it open source, which was my goal. So I took every part of the filter and I made it cheaper. For example, the body of the filter is made of a big PVC pipe. Inside the filter is just sand you'd find from anywhere. Purified sand. You just clean it up. The heart of the filter has like this mixture. It's made of rust, basic rust. You can scrape it off anywhere. You heat it up in a cooking pan with some soap, and it makes these rudimentary particles that remove arsenic from the water. And the sand removes bacteria. Put all these homemade materials together, you have basically my version of the affordable arsenic water filter. That's about $67 versus the $70 filter out there. So I obviously it's just the tip of the iceberg, but I hope that one day these filters can help reach the people that truly need them, that are suffering from these water problems.
That's awesome. It's really amazing, I think, and like you said, it's a humanitarian project because
Right.
it's putting other people first. And
Definitely.
also, we're going to touch back on the apparatus later. Just like go back into details,
Of course.
some of the chemistry behind it, because we talked about that earlier last week, and it was really interesting. So, any of those chemistry majors out there, you would like this conversation. So stay tuned. But also, so let's see. As a humanitarian, I guess we can call you that. What else? What else are like your views? Maybe philosophically or politically,
Y-
ethically.
I like to call this the box analogy. Basically, look, I know we have liberals and conservatives here in the United States, but here, this is what I think, okay? You have three people at a baseball game or something, and they're, actually, no, that's not a better thing. Let's say three people are at a game, okay? Whatever game it is, and there's a fence, okay? The tallest guy can look over the fence and easily see the game, okay? The medium-sized guy can stand on his tippy toes and see over the fence. But the smallest guy on the right side can't even see over the fence to see the game. Even if he stands on his tippy toes. Now, what many people will be like is like, okay, fine, let's give them all equal amount of help. Let's give them all one box that's the same size, and they all stand on it. So okay, the tall guy that can already see over the fence sees even better. The middle guy doesn't have to stand on his tippy toes anymore, but the small guy gets the box, but he still can't see. So what I feel is that you give help to these people, but you got to look at these guys' situations. Give the tallest guy a little box, or even no box. The guy in the middle should get a proportionally sized box, and the smallest guy, should get the largest sized box. So ultimately, these three people, the height they will be on the different sized boxes they're standing, they'll be the same height. But you gave them the different amount of sizes for boxes, but they're all enjoying the game the same. And I envision a world that's just like that. You give people the opportunity to achieve. And in this situation, it's achieve, meaning they'll get to watch the game. But obviously, this applies to many things. Like, I would like people to have access to safe drinking water. I would like people to have access to medical care. I'd like people to have access to, a safe job, a stable home. These things that we often view as entitlements, I really feel should be extended to everybody.
Ultimately, it is equality for all.
Equality for all, and not equality by equal, I give everybody equal things, equal opportunity.
Equal opportunity.
Yes. So
Right.
they ultimately reach the same degree of opportunity.
Oh, it's very nice. And it's a good thought. I wish everybody thought like that. It's a little more, actually, the last week when we talked to you, said it was a little more liberal-minded because it's, I mean, you're concerning everybody, and that's sort of the new way we should be thinking as humans.
And definitely, I'll tell you, I mean, I don't want to make this too political, but honestly, I believe that with the liberal mindset, it's the only way we can move forward. My science project, my humanitarian science project, the idea of making something open source so then everyone can have access to it, no mind for profit or so on, that goes against the conservative ideals we have here, which is you survival of the fittest, you basically profiteer, you have invention, you profit off of it, and people compete against you, make your product better.
Part of that is just the capitalist market.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's basically.
But I know what you're saying.
Right, that's definitely. It's very complex, but I believe the first step is change your mind about it, and I believe in this situation, the people that are getting it are very poor people that we're trying to help. To make them help, we remove all barriers possible. So remove the patenting, the licensing, make it open source to everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that would actually progress a lot of things. I mean, it's just like a state of mind instead of just, like you said, instead of having just things for profit or everything. Everything needs to be available for everyone so we can all benefit.
Definitely. And, some of us might have to work a little. Some of us might have to give up something more than others. And this is what makes those people off. Like, okay, this trending thing, like we have Obamacare today. Obamacare is a very controversial topic in the United States, right?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, Obamacare will only affect about 20% of the population. About 80% of us are going to still be under same healthcare with the same doctors, same cost. The 20% of Obamacare that will help, these people are among the worst off people in the nation. They don't have decent healthcare, if any healthcare at all. And if you're in a state like Texas, where we are today, these people will be denied healthcare. In Texas, if you don't have insurance and you have some condition, these hospitals will just patch you up and leave you outside. In a place like New York City, in New York, you will not have insurance, but the government of that area still has some provisions for people without insurance. I believe that with Obamacare, places like the U.S., like Texas, we can extend these basic needs to people that need them, and people like us are gonna have to give up little, if anything, in our lifestyles. I think it's overblown out of proportion. If it's helping these 20% people and we're achieving almost full healthcare, this is a great idea. It's better than what we have today, at least.
Yes, exactly. And that's a nice segue. I was going to ask, what do you want to accomplish now? Because you could always dream for the future. What do you want to accomplish later? But and a lot of those goals just can't come automatically. But so what do you want to do now?
Definitely. I don't know how successful I will be in the future. But I have short-term goals, and that is right now the arsenic filter I'm working on.
Right.
Basically I would like to address the immediate issue of people not having access to safe drinking water, especially in countries like Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan. But even here in the U.S., in Texas, there are many rural areas that are affected by arsenic water poisoning, and these people are still drinking arsenic water because the filters are pretty expensive out here.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to make this. I'm in the process of testing this filter. It's in a prototype stage. It's being tested in various areas in Bangladesh. I would like this filter to be tested and reach a safety and reliability standard in which I can finally reach the level to give this filter out to people, like on a bigger scale. So that is my short-term goal, basically.
Okay.
Um,
And then what happens after that? After implementation?
Now, after implementation of this filter, definitely to get it out to as many people as possible, this filter. Now, I don't know what
It could
are
be
the next...
applied other countries as well.
Yeah,
Like,
this is definitely for other countries as well.
right.
I just started in Bangladesh simply because that's the place I'm familiar with. But definitely, if this takes off, I don't see why not. This is an open source project. Anyone can take my work and use it
Or improve upon it.
or improve upon it, right?
That's the beauty of it.
Exactly.
Actually, I remember seeing a TED Talk video about open sourcing technology, and this was in particular about the BP oil spill. How there's a lot of just oil surface in just tons in volume, and they need to find a way to collect it easier. So what they did, they created an open source project of like a sailboat that collects it. And what it does is there's a lot of physics involved, but the most efficient way is that it goes with the current of the ocean and the waves, and it uses that that it uses the least amount of energy but collects the most amount of oil
Okay.
for cleaning.
Oh, wow.
And it was open source, so that the first prototype worked, but not well. Or actually, maybe the first one didn't work. I apologize. The second one by another group worked. Then the third one was even better. Fourth one better. And that's the beauty of open sourcing. Everything will just keep on improving. And that relates back to what you were saying earlier, how we all need to just have the mindset of putting it liberally and so that we could all improve together.
Exactly. And also you need to think about it this way. This might sound depressing, but this is what I think, okay? Look, the average life expectancy of me and you in the United States is what? Put at like, I believe 77, 78 years?
Sounds about right, yes.
Look in the grand scheme of things, that is a very small amount of time to be on this earth. And if your main goals in life is just to make money and just to, be successful, and success is in terms of money, that's cliche statement we hear that money doesn't buy happiness holds true, because what happens is when you reach your old age, you're going to feel like, what have you done? Your money and all that stuff you've earned is not going to go with you to your grave. But if you can leave something behind on this earth, something that can help others, can help improve others, help improve society, you've left behind something that literally is a living embodiment of yourself. Open source projects are just like that. You start your own rudimentary open source project that's designed to help somebody else. And then whatever happens on the road, people can adopt it, improve it, pass it on. Adopt it, improve it, pass it on, so on. This is what I believe, that if everybody thinks like this, then I really don't see where we could go wrong. But unfortunately, that's not the way everybody thinks.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think it's the best state of mind, and it's possible. I mean, you and I think like, well, I'd like to say you think like that. I'd like to think I think like that as well. But it can't be possible that everybody does. So, because we know they don't.
Right, totally. I mean,
all we have to do is get the message across, and I think the world is capable, right?
right. The funny thing, the thing is, another thing, my filter, the one I worked on,
Yes.
it's made of really simple materials compared
Right.
to existing filters. And I noticed this repeatedly throughout. Like, look, we go to a doctor, we hear about all these complex treatments for everything. Like, if your heart fails, you have this complex fake heart they put in your heart, in your chest, if they don't have a replacement heart from somebody else. It's very mechanical, and it tends to fail because our heart beats thousands of times a day.
Mm-hmm.
And this mechanical heart is tasked with beating that thousands of times. And it fails, like a car. Parts of it fails, right? So I saw this article online. It was about this doctor. He had a patient that was terminally ill. Like, his heart literally was failing. It was incapable of running anymore. And there was no donor heart. So this guy was going to die. So they had to do something. The surgeons out there had to do something. What they did was amazing. They fashioned a heart that didn't beat. It was literally like a turbine-powered valve. So literally, the main job of this valve with a turbine in it was to spin the blood throughout the body. No, not pump. Because pumping is what causes mechanical stress.
Mm-hmm.
So it literally was like a motor in the middle, and it spun blood throughout the body. Amazingly, soon enough, this guy was alive. And the funny thing about his heart was that it's made of very cheap materials. They made it using materials found out throughout their lab. And it was not even done throughout rigorous testing and so on, because they didn't have much time.
Mm-hmm.
So the moral of the story is, you don't need I think I saw this heart was like, what, $250,000, the existing hearts, the mechanical hearts? You don't need a $250,000 heart to put in a patient. You can think of something much simpler.
Mm-hmm.
and that might turn out to work even better. That patient lived, although unfortunately he died later on from other causes, not from his heart.
Was it complications?
It was other complications, and it was not mainly from his heart. Is his other organs. I believe his liver was failing.
Oh, okay.
He died from his liver failing. His family, just didn't want him. Disconnected him because he was suffering. Actually, he was suffering from a lot of things, not
Yeah.
only heart.
Okay.
So, but this was a proof of concept that showed that heart made of just simple stuff around the lab, and a simple concept. Literally, the purpose was to push the blood throughout the body.
Right.
This guy survived. So using that same mentality, I tried to work towards with my filter. Like I was like, how can I make this very simple and accomplish nearly the same thing? I believe thinking simply, like you'd be surprised. There'd be many things in this earth that work very simply and very cheaply.
I would argue that's like defining innovation now, because why think better when it should be actually simpler?
Right.
And
Exactly.
actually, going off of that is, if you think simpler, then you can expand easier. You might be making more complicated in the end, but it starts from something efficient and simple, and that's like what you're saying. Also, I remember you told me last week that he's the only man alive. He's alive, but without a beating heart.
Right. Alive without a beating heart.
Right.
Exactly. And the article was saying, I remember it was saying that this story, this incident ultimately proved that humans can survive without. I mean, not humans, but in general, a living thing can survive without a pulse. It sounded so revolutionary, like groundbreaking. It was like humans can live without a pulse. That's what literally, I think that's what the title was saying, something like that. But the point is that we can innovate and make solutions using simple, cheap things that are accessible to others. We don't need to. Now, I'm not gonna go out and say other companies make things purposefully expensive, but it's very easy to make things expensive. I think we should make an extra effort to make things cheap and affordable and accessible. What's the point of having some solution to a big problem if it's expensive, and people can't buy it? There's a reason why. I mean, we all like Ferraris and stuff like that. There's a reason we don't have it, because it's expensive. When's the last time you saw a Ferrari commercial in the United States? People don't buy Ferraris every day. We buy practical things that we can afford and do the job.
Right.
Most of us normal people here.
Mhm.
But that's basically what it is, basically.
All right. Okay, if you're listening, this is Ambient Cats with Demir, Candace, and special guest Thabit, Pulak. You're listening to Radio UTD, the student-run radio station for the University of Texas at Dallas, streaming live from the Student Union located in Richardson, Texas. If you'd like to call or Skype, the number is 972-883-6305, and the Skype username is IamRadioUTD. We're going to continue with the interview after a short music break. We just have a couple more songs that I'd like to play. And so please stay tuned for more Thabit interviewing. This next song is by Moby. It's arguably one of his most popular songs, the song Porcelain, and it made the best of list this week, so that's why I'm going to play it. All right, we are back from our music break, and now with Thabit, Pulak. Actually, we have No Waves, Matt Hoffman, right? It's Matt, I know that. I'm sorry. Great guy. I'm going to miss you next semester. Yeah. All right. Thabit, where do we leave off from? We were talking about simplicity and innovation.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Implementing that into your your filter, right?
Well, first I think I'd like to say, a real example of how simplicity has served people well. Like, look at iPhones. Like, the design. The reason why iPhones became so popular is because of the simplicity of its interface. Before iPhones, we had those clickety-clackety
Flip phones.
flip phones. The smartphones back then were like BlackBerry-esque devices with those.
They still had buttons.
Yeah, buttons, and BlackBerry still today have those, which is why they're not doing very well.
Right.
Yeah, apparently once I heard somewhere their shares were selling for less than $2 a piece, whereas
Oof.
Apple is selling their shares for about 500.
Yeah.
A little less than that, but
Poor BlackBerry.
yeah. I know. But anyways, so the moral here is like simplicity, right?
Right.
Although one major flaw with Apple is that their software, their devices, everything is proprietary, not open source, unlike
Right.
Android. So that would conflict with my ideology there. But you see here, simplicity leads to innovation, and open source will make it even more move towards innovation. In this case, the filter I worked on, it's simple. I can go into the materials of it exactly, kind of how it works. So basically, it's just a PVC pipe, a very big PVC pipe.
Right.
Probably about a 4-inch diameter. That makes up the body of the filter. You fill up the filter with sand about 3/4 of the way. The sand serves to filtrate the water through brute force. So you'd imagine the water traveling down the sand. That will remove the basic large chunks of mud and so on. But on top of the sand, there's a layer. It's a layer of special particles called iron nanoparticles. These particles, you make them simply out of rust. Like you scrape off rust from anywhere. You mix it with soap. The soap has this fat. There's a fat inside the soap that heats up with the rust. That breaks down the rust. So basically my goal is to heat the rust and break it down into smaller particles. It's these particles that they're very simple to make. You can make them from your own house. You don't need to even buy them anywhere. Iron nanoparticles used to be a laboratory standard material. Now you can make them from the kitchen of your home. So you just pour these particles on top of the sand in the body of the filter. So there's sand in these particles. So when you pour the water from the top, it touches the nanoparticles, gets rid of arsenic, travels down the sand.
And that's the chemistry.
Exactly, that is the chemistry.
Electrons.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. So
the attraction.
The rust. Well, basically the rust kind of changes into some iron, like some valent iron, through the heating reaction.
Right. Right.
Which attracts the arsenic from the water. There's more detailed chemistry behind it, but that's the idea. It goes through the sand, and the sand removes bacteria. It removes mud and like dirt, but it also removes bacteria. This is kind of funny how it does it. The depth of the sand kills the bacteria, because in the middle of the sand, there's no light. So literally what happens is as the water slowly trickles down, bacteria just naturally dies out. Because bacteria has no more sunlight, no more nothing. So it's like a natural way of removing the water. So it's a very simple way. Once the water comes out, you have no bacteria, no arsenic, very clear.
Right.
And all under $6.
And didn't you say also when you break down the rust into smaller nanoparticles, because it's more surface area, it's more interaction, right?
So I mean, if I just put a bunch of rust in there, it would remove arsenic, but it would not last as long, and it would not work as well because there's not much surface area. The more you cut something or make it smaller, the more surface area it has. It's almost like a cube, right? A big cube would have less surface area than that same cube cut into like 100 smaller cubes. There's more combined surface area in those smaller cubes. So that's the idea behind this. And the funny thing is, the existing filters that are out there use more primitive technology, despite being more expensive. Like, whereas mine uses nanoparticles that you can make from home, their technology uses what they call a composite iron matrix, which is patented. This composite iron matrix is basically a ton of iron, like literally 10 kilograms of iron. Solid iron that's porous, basically.
Oh, okay.
So the water can travel through it. But yeah, so the water travels through iron, and it's intended to get rid of arsenic because iron has a attraction to arsenic. But what happens is that chunk eventually rusts, so water eventually stops flowing through it, and you have to throw the iron away, put in new iron. Whereas in this filter, not only it's cheaper, the nanoparticles are not only cheaper, but you can make them at home, and they're more effective. So in this situation, a cheaper thing is actually better. It lasts longer. So
people just don't realize.
Exactly, right? Exactly.
Right.
Exactly the case.
So let's see. Simplicity and innovation is key, and that's the ideas that you put into this device that you made, and it's great. So what else? Are you going to create something else with that same mentality in mind, or any other projects just coming up in general?
Actually, in the future, like right now, the reason why I worked with the arsenic filter in the first place was I saw that these people were suffering from arsenic water poisoning. And the deep problem with this is that people are going to suffer from health issues. But as a high school student, I don't have the medical skills to help these people. So I just try to find a different way for now to help them, which is through a filter, something I can engineer and research as a student. But hopefully down the road, I want to kind of have a medical research background so that I could research into more medical conditions affecting these people and kind of help already existing arsenic poisoned people. Because the ultimate problem that results from it is cancer. I would like to find a way to kind of remediate cancer. Obviously, this sounds like as if I'm trying to cure cancer, which is hopefully I would like to work towards that. It's a next big problem.
Yeah. It's a nice goal.
And I believe the approach to it, the best approach would be, let's find a simple way. Perhaps there is a simple way to curing something like cancer. But obviously it's a very big problem. There's lots of types of cancer, thousands of types, and I might not know much about it now, so I shouldn't make too much assumptions, but this is what I'd like to go into later on.
Okay, that's good. And so let's see, going off of our little schedule that we made, I think we actually covered everything pretty much, because we were wanting to touch on like prosthetic arms, but we did prosthetic organs instead, with the heart and then the valve.
I think another thing I'd like to add in, about just last week actually, I went to MST, it's like a middle school. I'm sorry, it's elementary school. Sorry, it's in Richardson, Texas, elementary school. The kids there were working on their own mini water filters. It was like made of basically what they did. They just took the top half of a 2-liter Coke bottle. They filled it up with sand and gravel. They made like a rudimentary water filter. And their teacher, Mrs. Claiborne, invited me over to their class to show my work as like a real world implementation. And it kind of made me feel hopeful to see all these kids kind of working on these sort of sustainable solutions towards environmental problems. And they were all very eager to see my work. And I was very, excited to see them working on something awesome like this. And yesterday, they were presenting their stuff in the STEM fair at MST. So it's pretty cool. I've hope in the future generation to continue on this work and have perhaps a good mindset of helping people, as a society moving forward, not worrying about yourself.
That's good. Yes, optimism is key, and I do have faith in our humanity as a whole. Like, we are capable of doing what you're doing, and all we have to do is just think a little bit differently.
Yeah, definitely.
And like what you're saying, the students at the STEM fair are a good indication, and I'm sure they loved seeing you, a 17-year-old, and not some old doctor presenting his filter, but a student. So all you have to do is put a little bit of effort into it, right? And
Definitely
then you're able to accomplish. That's nice.
Right, and you gotta have the right mindset. Don't start from the top looking down. You have to start from the bottom looking up, the grassroots. Have you heard of Nobel Peace Prize winner Muhammad Yunus? Well, he's kind of my role model in some aspects. He's actually from Bangladesh too, but what he did, he established a microloan system.
Oh, okay.
What he did, don't you know how banks give out big loans to people? But the thing is, you can't give a big loan to a person not making much. He probably doesn't have the credit, and the bank probably wouldn't give it to him. Bangladesh, what he did was he established a microloan system to people. So perhaps somebody would have enough money to buy, say, a goat. And this person would buy the goat and make the money from the goat and then pay back the bank. Yeah. This microloan system was vastly successful. So I believe you have to work from the ground up, not from the top bottom. And these small problems, once you start solving them, it becomes bigger. Starts helping a million people. This person now has helped millions of people in not only Bangladesh, but even in the United States. I have a friend, Rafin Farouk, who's starting his own microloan firm here in West Texas. It's called Green River.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I believe he attends here, UT Dallas.
Rafin Farouk, actually no, I think he attends Southern Methodist University, actually.
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
SMU, okay.
But he did come from Richardson High School, the same school I did.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Man, I can't believe that. Well, excellent. All right, this is Ambient Cats with Demir, Candace, and Thabit, Pulak. Thabit, thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me here, Demir. I appreciate it, and I appreciate everyone here that came today.
Yeah, it was a great talk, and wonderful things I expect from you in the future.
Thank you. Keep me in your good wishes.
Yeah, of course. All right, I'm going to finish this last show out with a final song. Oh, somebody's at the window. Well, and so everybody, I hope you have a great night. This last song is from Calligraphy again, the song Great Night. How fitting.
Have a good night.
Yep.